Shocking twists, emotional showdowns, and a major shakeup rocked Genoa City. The Young and the Restless delivered an action-packed stretch of episodes filled with emotional confrontations, dangerous schemes, and surprising behind-the-scenes news. Billy Abbott demanded answers from Jill as Nikki Newman underwent a life-changing surgery that left her loved ones fearing the worst. Meanwhile, Patty Williams became even more unpredictable, making a chilling promise while Billy and Jill reached an emotional breaking point. Elsewhere, Jack Abbott set a risky plan in motion to outsmart his enemies, but the stakes quickly escalated. At the same time, Kane Ashby stunned Billy with an unexpected career opportunity that could dramatically alter his future. Looking ahead, 2-week spoilers reveal Kyle Abbott embarking on a dangerous mission, while Victor Newman struggles with overwhelming guilt as new challenges threaten the Newman family. Beyond the on-screen drama, The Young and the Restless is also preparing for a major creative shift following the departure of head writer Josh Griffith. The announcement has sparked widespread fan discussion, with many viewers hoping for fresher storylines, stronger romance, greater focus on younger characters, fewer repetitive kidnappings, and more balanced screen time. As a new era approaches, fans are eager to see whether the next head writer can breathe new life into Genoa City. Welcome to Celebrity Gossip 24 Hours, where the drama unfolds and the stories captivate. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of Young and the Restless, uncovering untold stories and hidden truths behind the headlines. The Young and the Restless recap for Monday, June 29th, 2026. Billy confronts Jill while Nikki faces a life-changing surgery. Monday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered emotional moments as Nikki Newman underwent a dangerous operation. Billy Abbott demanded long-overdue answers from Jill, and the Abbott-Chancellor family tensions reached another breaking point. At Crimson Lights, Nick, Victoria, and Claire anxiously waited for updates on Nikki's surgery. Before long, Noah and Sharon arrived, stunned to learn about Nikki's medical emergency only after the situation had become so serious. Nick tried to reassure Noah that Nikki had overcome impossible odds before, but admitted the family felt powerless while waiting for news. Holden soon joined the group to check on Nikki, and everyone reflected on how quickly her condition had deteriorated. Although they tried to stay optimistic, Nick reminded them that the operation carried no guarantees. Victoria then headed back to the hospital, while Noah and Sharon discussed the difficult losses the Newman family had faced in recent months. After updating Adam by phone, Nick confessed to Sharon and Noah that the stress of the situation had left him vulnerable and worried about slipping backward in his recovery. Grateful for their encouragement, he agreed to attend an AA meeting before returning to the hospital. Nick also hoped that Nikki's health crisis might remind Victor and Nikki how much they truly belong together. Meanwhile, Claire and Holden spent time bird-watching in the park. Claire tearfully remembered how Nikki had taught her to identify different birds and became emotional thinking her grandmother might never again see a blue jay or even Claire's face. Holden comforted her by expressing confidence in the surgeon and insisting they would share many more bird-watching outings together. Trying to lift Claire's spirits, Holden shared a funny story from his past. While working for a fried chicken restaurant, he had been forced to wear a giant bird costume to distribute flyers. When he landed an interview for a real estate position, the costume's zipper jammed, leaving him no choice but to attend the interview dressed as the oversized mascot. Elsewhere, Kane and Billy received mysterious messages concerning Jill and met at the athletic club bar. After unsuccessfully trying to reach both Jill and Snapper, they were shocked when Jill herself walked in. Warm greetings quickly gave way to a serious conversation as Jill explained she had returned because she needed to deal with the growing chaos surrounding Chancellor. Billy was stunned to discover that Kane had once again taken control of Chancellor. Furious, he accused both Jill and Kane of secretly wanting this outcome from the very beginning. Billy argued that opportunities always seemed to fall effortlessly into Kane's hands while he was constantly overlooked. The conversation soon turned personal. Billy insisted he was finished dwelling on old disappointments and revealed exciting news. He and Sally planned to marry, and they were expecting a baby together. Kane immediately congratulated him, and after a brief pause, Jill also expressed happiness for the couple. However, the celebration was short-lived as Billy resumed criticizing Kane, while Kane fired back by accusing Billy of being driven by jealousy. Despite Jill pounding the table and ordering both men to stop, neither was willing to back down. At the hospital, Victor quietly waited in Nikki's room while holding the wedding ring she had recently returned to him. His thoughts drifted between memories of their happiest moments, including their wedding and the painful argument that had once driven them apart. Dr. Stephanie entered with encouraging news, explaining that Nikki's operation was progressing smoothly, though it remained too early to predict the final outcome. Victor thanked her sincerely for making the surgery possible. They briefly discussed Stephanie's history in Genoa City and the connection between her son and Victor's granddaughter. Shortly afterward, Victoria arrived just as a nurse announced that Nikki had successfully come out of surgery. Victoria immediately contacted Nick and Claire, asking them to return to the hospital. Back at the athletic club, Billy finally reached his breaking point. Frustrated by years of disappointment, he directly confronted Jill and demanded to know why she never believed he was capable of leading Chancellor. Billy insisted he could never move forward unless his mother finally gave him an honest explanation. The episode closed at the hospital as Nick, Noah, and Claire reunited with the rest of the Newman family. Nikki was wheeled into her room after surgery, where Dr. Nottingham revealed that the mass had been successfully removed. He explained that Nikki would remain under close observation after regaining consciousness. As Victor gently stroked Nikki's hair, he promised they would face the difficult recovery together, ending the emotional day on a hopeful note. Today's next update, The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. Patty makes a chilling promise as Jill and Billy reach an emotional breaking point. Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered emotional confrontations, painful memories, and growing danger as Patty's unstable behavior escalated. Jill struggled to repair her fractured relationship with Billy, and Tracy became convinced that Jack was heading straight into a deadly trap. At the Genoa City Athletic Club, Billy cornered Jill with one question he refused to let go of. Why was she so determined to keep him away from Catherine Chancellor's company? Before the conversation could spiral further, Kane stepped in, but Jill insisted she could deal with her son herself. Jill accused Billy of imagining problems that didn't exist, while Billy insisted his instincts were telling him something was wrong. Kane suggested Billy's frustration came from losing control of Chancellor, which only irritated Billy further. He sharply reminded Kane to stay out of family matters, prompting Kane to back away while remaining close enough to hear the discussion. After calming down slightly, Billy admitted there was a chance he had misread the situation. Perhaps Kane truly could lead Chancellor successfully, and maybe Jill's actions were simply those of a mother trying to protect her son. If that were true, Billy could accept it. But if not, then it meant Jill simply had no confidence in him, and he desperately wanted to understand why. Before leaving, Kane encouraged mother and son to resolve their differences. Once he was gone, Billy complained that Kane always seemed to be Jill's favorite. Jill brushed aside the accusation, insisting she wanted to repair their damaged relationship once and for all. Billy confessed that what frightened him most was hearing that his own mother believed he wasn't worthy of her trust. Meanwhile, at Society, Kyle anxiously left Jack a voicemail after failing to hear from him. Tracy soon arrived, and Kyle explained everything that had happened. Jack had gone to Lawrence Markham's house because they believed Diane was being held there. The news horrified Tracy. Kyle admitted they had lost contact with Jack, while Lawrence had unexpectedly canceled a meeting and instead invited Kyle to his home with a search warrant. Together, they realized Patty may have overheard Jack and Kyle's earlier plans, leading them to fear Jack was unknowingly walking into an ambush. Elsewhere, inside Lawrence Markham's home, Patty sat nervously on the couch, admitting she feared she had become dangerous to everyone around her. Lawrence had little sympathy, reminding her he had never intended to act as her therapist. Patty complained that if she had not overheard Kyle and Jack's conversation, Lawrence would have left the house unprotected, ruining the elaborate plan they had created together. Lawrence criticized Patty for failing to convince Jack they belonged together. His comments immediately triggered Patty's temper. Ordering him to be quiet, she reminded him exactly what happened whenever she lost control. She demanded that he convince Diane that Jack had moved on for good. Lawrence bluntly informed Patty that Jack and Diane's relationship remained much stronger than either of them expected. Patty refused to accept defeat. She vowed she would never lose Jack to Diane again, declaring that if everything fell apart, she intended to drag everyone else down with her. Their argument continued, with Lawrence making it clear he understood just how dangerous Patty truly was. He hinted that he could easily alter her treatment if necessary. Suddenly, they heard movement elsewhere in the house, prompting Lawrence to quickly usher Patty out before Diane entered the room. When Diane asked who he had been speaking with, Lawrence smoothly lied, claiming he had simply been talking to the pharmacy over speakerphone about delivering medication. Diane admitted she was trying to accept that Jack might have moved on from her and wondered what it meant when someone developed feelings for the very person holding them captive. Lawrence insisted he wasn't keeping her prisoner, but helping her heal. Back at society, Tracy became increasingly emotional as she reflected on Patty once again threatening the Abbott family. Seeing Lawrence earlier had immediately reminded her of Martin Laurent, leaving her shaken. She refused to stand by while another loved one suffered because of Patty's actions. Kyle worked to calm Tracy, but she tearfully admitted she still wanted revenge for everything Patty had done to Colleen. Hoping to comfort her, Kyle shared that he and Harrison had recently discovered an old recording of Colleen singing while cleaning out the attic. The memory overwhelmed Tracy, who broke down crying as she confessed how deeply she still missed her daughter. Kyle embraced her while she struggled through the painful moment. After collecting herself, Tracy became even more determined. She insisted they had to rescue Diane and ensure both Patty and Lawrence ended up behind bars. In her opinion, Lawrence posed every bit as much danger as Patty. At Crimson Lights, Kane crossed paths with Lily and told her Jill had returned to town. Lily mentioned she knew Jill supported Kane's leadership at Chancellor. Kane admitted Billy had not taken the news well. Their conversation shifted to Kane's personal life. He happily revealed that he and Sally were engaged and expecting a baby. Lily questioned whether he had truly moved on from the ongoing Chancellor drama, while Kane said Billy needed to stop repeating the same destructive patterns and finally find a better direction. Back at the club, Jill finally explained why she had sold Chancellor back to Victor. She denied it had anything to do with Billy firing Lily and reminded Billy that she had invested in Abbott Communications because she genuinely believed in his abilities. Although Billy appreciated hearing that, he confessed he had wondered whether Jill's investment was simply an act of pity because she thought he couldn't succeed anywhere else. Jill strongly rejected that idea, pointing out that Billy had abandoned Abbott Communications to chase Chancellor instead. Their disagreement soon returned to Kane, with Billy once again insisting Kane had always been the favored son. Jill became emotional as she tearfully insisted Billy was completely wrong. Later, Diane continued manipulating Lawrence by suggesting she might be developing feelings for her therapist. Lawrence identified the situation as transference. Playing along, Diane hinted she might simply be transferring the love she felt for Jack onto him and flirtatiously admitted she was looking forward to their next session. She then offered to prepare dinner after taking a shower, an invitation Lawrence gladly accepted. At Society, Kyle and Tracy continued debating whether they should head directly to Lawrence's house. Kyle remained convinced that if Jack had located Diane, he would refuse to leave without bringing her home safely. Meanwhile, Billy's anger softened as he expressed concern about Jill's health. Jill quietly asked whether they could finally have a peaceful conversation instead of another argument, leaving Billy to wonder if that was even possible. Across town, Kane suggested a surprising solution to Lily. Since Billy still desperately wanted Chancellor, perhaps they should offer him a position at the company. Kane believed Billy possessed valuable talent and an ability to think creatively. Lily remained skeptical, but Kane insisted the opportunity could benefit both of them. The episode ended with Patty alone inside the Abbott mansion. She poured herself a strong drink and imagined Jack returning home after trying to rescue Diane. Staring bitterly at a photograph of Jack and Diane together, Patty declared that Diane would never win him back. In a final chilling act, Patty removed Diane's photo from its frame, locked it away in a drawer, and made a sinister vow. Jack belonged with her, she insisted, and Diane would never again see or touch him. Patty ended the episode by promising that nothing would ever change her mind. Today's next update. Jack launches a risky strategy while Kane surprises Billy with an unexpected career offer. Wednesday, July 1st, 2026, delivered major turning points as Jack Abbott set a dangerous rescue plan into motion. Diane edged closer to escaping captivity. Billy Abbott received an unexpected business proposal, and Kane Ashby tried to rebuild old relationships. At Crimson Lights, Lily Winters expressed serious doubts about Kane's latest business idea. She warned him that bringing Billy into Chancellor could create endless conflict, especially since Billy would likely struggle with answering to Ashby. Kane disagreed, insisting Billy's creativity and unconventional thinking could benefit the company. He believed Billy would contribute ideas no one else would consider and argued that Chancellor needed someone with those instincts. Lily remained unconvinced, predicting that Billy would constantly challenge authority. Kane explained that he intended to establish clear boundaries from the beginning so Billy understood he would not be running the company. Lily suspected Kane's motivation stemmed from guilt over the way he had manipulated Billy while secretly operating as Aristotle Demas. Kane admitted he had treated Billy unfairly during that time. However, he hoped offering Billy an important role could repair several damaged relationships, not only with Billy and Jill, but also between himself and the man he still considered family despite their complicated history. He confessed that he deeply missed having close family connections. Although still hesitant, Lily eventually agreed not to stand in his way. She jokingly reminded Kane that he was now taking instructions from her, prompting a laugh from him as he admitted he didn't mind the arrangement. Meanwhile, Billy met Sally Spectra at the athletic club. Sally had been shopping for baby clothes, including tiny onesies, and remarked that Billy would make a wonderful father. Their conversation shifted to recent business developments when Billy mentioned he had just spoken with Jill. He revealed that Lily had secured control of Chancellor and appointed Kane as the company's CEO. Billy admitted his first reaction had been immature and emotional because Jill's decision to support Kane instead of him had been painful. Billy complained that Jill had never apologized for previously siding with Victor against him. However, he revealed that Jill had assured him she still supported Abbott Communications and seemed surprised that Billy already knew about her financial backing. The comment immediately alarmed Sally. She realized she had accidentally revealed confidential information that Jill had wanted to keep secret. Worried that Jill might withdraw her support because of the mistake, Sally panicked. Billy quickly apologized for putting her in that uncomfortable position and tried to reassure her by mentioning that Jill seemed genuinely happy about their engagement and upcoming baby. Sally encouraged Billy to stop holding on to his resentment. She believed Jill was sincerely trying to repair their relationship and urged Billy to respond with forgiveness instead of anger. Before they could continue discussing it, Billy received a phone call from Kane, who invited both him and Sally to meet at Crimson Lights, mentioning that Lily would also be there. Elsewhere, Kyle Abbott received a call from Jack, who asked him to meet at Society. When Jack arrived, he described his failed attempt to reach Diane. He had managed to enter Lawrence Markham's property, but was chased away by a pack of aggressive dogs before getting very far. Even so, Jack remained convinced Diane was still being held there. Kyle became increasingly frustrated, believing they had made no real progress. He suspected Patty Williams had warned Markham about their investigation. Jack worried that Diane was effectively trapped between two dangerous and unstable people instead of just one. Jack informed Kyle that he had instructed a private investigator to monitor activity at Markham's home. When Kyle suggested updating Detective Burrow, Jack resisted the idea. He deliberately wanted to delay police involvement because he believed they still had an opportunity to rescue Diane through another strategy. Kyle disliked the idea of waiting and insisted they needed a better solution immediately. As they discussed Patty's strange influence over Lawrence, Kyle remained confident that Diane was quietly planning her own escape. During the conversation, Jack suddenly realized Patty herself might become the key to exposing Markham and revealing Diane's location. Inside Lawrence's house, Diane commented on the loud guard dogs outside. Lawrence casually admitted he preferred dogs to cats before complimenting Diane's appearance. Diane politely returned the compliment, praising his kitchen instead. Lawrence informed her that her prescribed sedatives had arrived. Diane eagerly asked for them, but Lawrence refused to hand over the full prescription, promising only a single pill before bedtime. Determined to seize an opportunity, Diane shifted the conversation toward preparing dinner. She flirted with Lawrence while pouring him a drink and quietly noticed the prescription tucked inside the pocket of his jacket lying nearby. Soon afterward, Diane cleverly persuaded him to retrieve a bottle of wine from his cellar. The moment he disappeared, she quickly searched his coat, removed the bottle of sedatives, and secretly slipped several pills into her pocket before replacing everything else. When Lawrence returned carrying the wine, he suggested ordering takeout instead of cooking. Diane acted disappointed, insisting she wanted to prepare a meal to thank him for his kindness. Lawrence eventually agreed, sending her into the kitchen, where she smiled to herself while secretly holding the stolen pills. Back at Crimson Lights, Kane finally revealed the reason for inviting Billy. He officially offered Billy the position of head of research and development at Chancellor. Rather than answering immediately, Billy turned to Lily and asked how she truly felt about the proposal. Lily admitted she had initially opposed the idea, but explained that Kane genuinely respected Billy's abilities and believed he could strengthen the company. Billy remained suspicious, questioning Kane's sudden generosity. Kane assured him that the offer was sincere. He praised Billy's talent and explained that hiring him would ultimately benefit both the company and Kane himself because Billy consistently delivered innovative ideas. At the Abbott mansion, Jack noticed Patty had left him a note inviting him to join her in the hot tub. Instead, Jack quietly searched through her purse until he found her cell phone. Alongside it, he noticed a bag of cat treats. Correctly guessing Patty's password was Kitty, Jack unlocked the phone and sent Lawrence a text message pretending to be Patty. The message claimed there was an emergency and instructed him to meet at their usual location. Without realizing it, Jack had unknowingly disrupted Diane's carefully developing escape plan. Back at the house, Lawrence received the text and immediately believed Patty needed him. He interrupted Diane and explained that one of his patients had an emergency requiring his immediate attention. Unsure how long he would be gone, he encouraged Diane to eat dinner without him before leaving. As soon as the door closed, Diane sighed with frustration. She had been incredibly close to carrying out her own plan and realized Jack's interference had delayed it at the worst possible moment. Later, Billy and Sally privately discussed Kane's proposal. Sally advised against making a rushed decision, suggesting they carefully weigh every advantage and risk before responding. Billy agreed, thanked Kane for the opportunity, and expressed appreciation to both Kane and Lily before promising they would contact them after considering the offer. Once Billy and Sally departed, Lily commented that Kane's generosity toward Billy reminded her of qualities she had not seen in him for a very long time. Kane admitted he wanted to become that man again, the version of himself Lily had once fallen in love with. He hoped she could eventually trust and believe in him again. Lily confessed that she wanted the same thing, and the emotional conversation ended with the two sharing a kiss. Meanwhile, Jack phoned Kyle to explain that he had successfully lured Lawrence away using Patty's cell phone. He reminded Kyle to stay alert because the next step will be dangerous. Kyle acknowledged the risks and warned his father that Patty would explode with anger once she discovered someone had used her phone. Jack confidently replied that he was prepared for whatever happened next. Back at Lawrence's home, Diane reflected on a book written by Alan Loran, quietly thinking about the tragic irony that Alan's own brother had ultimately caused his death. Determined to finish what she had started, Diane crushed the stolen sedatives into Lawrence's appetizer while whispering that a special surprise would be waiting when he returned. Convinced that the doctor would soon pay for everything, she quietly promised that he was going down next. Today's next update. Young and the Restless 2-week spoilers. June 29th to July 10th, 2026. Kyle launches a risky mission while Victor battles overwhelming regret. The next 2 weeks on the Young and the Restless promise emotional confrontations, dangerous rescue attempts, and major family drama. From June 29th through July 10th, Kyle Abbott finds himself secretly investigating in an effort to rescue Diane, while Victor Newman struggles with guilt as Nikki faces a frightening medical crisis. At the same time, Billy Abbott's personal and professional conflicts continue to spiral, creating new tension throughout Genoa City. June 29th to July 3rd, Jill returns as Nikki faces surgery. Monday, June 29th, brings an unexpected reunion when both Billy Abbott and Kane Ashby receive the same mysterious invitation to the Genoa City Athletic Club. Upon arriving, they discover Jill Abbott waiting for them. During Jess Walton's temporary absence, Lauren Koslow steps into the role for 5 episodes. Jill already knows that Kane has been appointed the new CEO of Chancellor, and Billy immediately explodes over the news. Kane explains that Victor Newman handed control of the company to Lily Winters following the fake kidnapping ordeal, but Billy refuses to accept the explanation. The conversation quickly deteriorates into another heated argument between Billy and Kane. Jill openly supports Kane's leadership, making Billy even more frustrated. Hoping to change the subject, Billy announces that he and Sally Spectra are engaged and expecting a baby. While Kane is caught completely off guard by the announcement, Jill is disappointed that Billy waited so long to share such important family news. Even so, she is thrilled about becoming a grandmother once again. Billy soon returns to criticizing Jill for taking Chancellor away from him and eventually selling it to Victor. His anger grows as he accuses Kane of being dishonest and untrustworthy. Their verbal battle becomes so intense that Jill has to step in before things get completely out of control. She bluntly tells Billy that his impulsive personality makes him unsuitable to lead Chancellor, while Kane reminds him that his attention should be on Sally and their growing family rather than corporate battles. Nikki's health crisis leaves the Newman family terrified. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman undergoes a delicate surgical procedure as her loved ones anxiously wait for updates. Victor refuses to leave the hospital, overwhelmed with regret as memories of his recent treatment of Nikki continue to haunt him. He recalls throwing her out of the house, accusing her over Jack Abbott, and watching her return her wedding rings. Every painful memory deepens his guilt. Victor also expresses gratitude to Dr. Stephanie Simmons for caring for Nikki throughout this frightening ordeal. However, his biggest concern remains the possibility that Nikki's sudden loss of eyesight before surgery could reduce her chances of recovery. Stephanie explains that no one can predict the outcome yet. Victor praises her for previously saving Malcolm Winter's life, though Stephanie reminds him that Kane's bone marrow donation also played a crucial role. Eventually, a nurse announces that Nikki has successfully come through surgery. Elsewhere, Victoria Newman informs Sharon Newman and Noah Newman about Nikki's diagnosis and reveals that the risky operation could leave her permanently blind. Noah is upset that the family kept such serious news from him, but Victoria explains that Nikki wanted her condition kept private. Claire Grace Newman later updates Holden Novak after he arrives to check on the family during the emergency. Nick reaches out for support. Nick Newman also learns new details about Nikki's condition while updating Adam Newman on the situation. Later, Nick joins Sharon and Noah, admitting that maintaining his recovery has become increasingly difficult. Knowing how vulnerable he feels, he asks Sharon to drive him to a recovery meeting later so she can help keep him accountable. Although Nick believes Nikki's medical crisis could ultimately bring Victor and Nikki back together, Sharon remains doubtful that reconciliation will happen so easily. Soon afterward, Nick and Noah rush to the hospital after hearing Nikki has completed surgery. Victoria and Claire also return. Doctors will Nikki out with heavy bandages covering both eyes. Thankfully, the surgeon delivers encouraging news, explaining that the entire mass pressing against Nikki's optic nerve was successfully removed. While they remain cautious, The medical team feels optimistic about her recovery. June 30th. Diane executes her escape plan. Tuesday, June 30th, brings cautious optimism as Victoria tells Nick that although it's still too early to know whether Nikki's eyesight will return, the initial reports are encouraging. Elsewhere, Tracy Abbott and Kyle Abbott become increasingly worried after Patty Williams' latest disturbing behavior. Kyle updates Tracy about secretly following Dr. Lawrence Markham from the Abbott mansion back to his home. At Markham's house, Diane Jenkins Abbott appears to be manipulating the doctor. She casually asks whether patients becoming emotionally attached to their therapists is considered normal. Markham assures her that such emotional bonds are common and often helpful during treatment. Diane responds flirtatiously, making it clear she's carefully playing along with Markham's growing interest in her. Convinced that Markham is far less qualified than he claims to be, Diane quietly begins setting up her escape. She previously requested sleeping medication because of nightmares, and now she appears surprisingly comfortable inside his home. Dressed casually while moving freely through the house, Diane may even prepare food with the intention of drugging Markham before attempting to flee. Meanwhile, Jill gathers Billy and Kane for another conversation at the Genoa City Athletic Club, hoping to finally ease the growing hostility between them. July 1st, Patty gains the advantage. Wednesday, July 1st, shifts the focus to Jack Abbott's dangerous strategy. Jack hopes to distract Patty long enough to reach Markham's house and rescue Diane. Unfortunately, Jack doesn't realize Patty has secretly overheard every detail of his plan after listening in on conversations between him and Kyle. Because Patty now knows exactly what they're planning, Jack may be walking directly into a trap. Elsewhere at Society, Matt Clark interrupts a meeting between Lily Winters and Kane. During their conversation, Kane asks Lily for a favor, possibly connected to his recent confrontation with Billy. Sally also receives shocking news when she discovers Billy deliberately sabotaged her newest business opportunity. Furious over his actions, Sally confronts him, raising serious concerns about whether Billy's unresolved issues with Jill are already destroying their future together. July 2nd. Victor keeps his intentions hidden. Thursday, July 2nd, Victor refuses to reveal the plans he's quietly putting into motion. His secrecy likely involves another grand romantic gesture designed to earn Nikki's forgiveness and repair the damage done to their marriage. Meanwhile, Nate Hastings opens up about his past, explaining how an accident caused permanent neurological damage to his hands and forced him to abandon his surgical career. He may also mention that Devin Hamilton Winters was responsible for the injuries after attacking him. At the same time, Nick and Noah remain unconvinced by whatever explanation Matt Clark tries to sell them. July 3rd, Kyle fears the worst. Friday, July 3rd, Kyle grows increasingly anxious. After asking Tracy whether she has heard from Jack, Kyle becomes alarmed when she says she hasn't received any communication. Kyle begins to fear that his father may already be in serious danger. Jack had insisted on handling the rescue himself because he wanted Kyle safely out of harm's way. However, Patty's unpredictable behavior could mean Jack has disappeared after falling into one of her traps. As Kyle waits outside Markham's property, hidden among the trees, he nervously makes an urgent phone call while preparing to rescue Diane himself, if necessary. July 6th to 10th. Rescue attempts become even more dangerous. During the week of July 6th through July 10th, both Jack and Kyle appear to be facing enormous danger as Patty consistently stays one step ahead of every move they make. Diane remains determined to escape from Markham's control, but her carefully planned strategy may not succeed. If Markham catches on before she can get away, her situation could become even more dangerous than before. Nikki's recovery could bring hope. Following surgery, Nikki's recovery won't be straightforward. Her temporary vision loss may initially leave the Newman family fearing the worst before encouraging signs begin to emerge. Although progress won't happen overnight, there will eventually be reasons for cautious optimism. Victor refuses to leave Nikki's side throughout her recovery. Desperate to prove he has changed, he continues searching for ways to earn back her trust. Nikki, however, remains reluctant to reconcile simply because she is vulnerable after surgery. She doesn't want Victor's guilt to become the foundation of their relationship again. Even so, Victor isn't prepared to give up. Once Nikki is discharged from the hospital, she is expected to return to the newly rebuilt Newman Ranch, where the next chapter of their complicated relationship will continue. Trouble continues at Chancellor. Kane's appointment as Chancellor CEO continues creating division. Although Lily selected him for the position, Billy remains one of his loudest critics. Kane genuinely hopes to reduce the tension between them and eventually repair their fractured relationship. Whether Billy is willing to put aside his resentment remains highly doubtful, especially considering his long history of undermining his own happiness. Nick faces a dangerous turning point. Head writer Josh Griffith has already hinted that Nick's sobriety will soon be tested. Nikki's frightening health emergency and the uncertainty surrounding her eyesight could become the emotional trigger that sends Nick back toward addiction. As he struggles under the weight of his mother's illness, the risk of relapse continues to grow. Meanwhile, Sally refuses to overlook Billy's sabotage, creating even more strain within their engagement. Elsewhere, Claire and Holden grow closer as he stands beside her throughout Nikki's medical ordeal, strengthening their developing romance. Finally, sparks continue flying between Lily and Kane. As their relationship deepens, Lily may be the one who decides to take the first romantic step, potentially bringing the two even closer in the days ahead. Today's next update. Young and the Restless faces a new era as Josh Griffith exits. What fans on the next head writer to change? A major shakeup is coming to the Young and the Restless after the announcement that longtime head writer Josh Griffith is leaving the CBS daytime drama. The news has sparked widespread discussion throughout the soap community, with many longtime viewers expressing excitement about the creative change rather than disappointment over his departure. CBS has indicated that Griffith chose to step away from the role, although some fans continue to speculate about whether declining ratings and mounting criticism may have influenced the decision. Whatever the circumstances, the focus has now shifted toward finding a replacement capable of guiding the series into a new chapter. Current plans reportedly call for the new head writer's material to begin airing with season 54 this October. As anticipation builds, viewers have made it clear they have a long list of changes they'd like to see once fresh creative leadership takes over. Fans want a dramatic shift in storytelling. One of the loudest complaints centers on the show's recent reliance on disturbing storylines involving sexual assault and abuse. Many viewers were uncomfortable with the return of Matt Clark, a character infamous for being a serial rapist. While fans have praised Roger Howarth's acting ability, they argue that bringing back such a character without meaningful consequences sends the wrong message. The criticism doesn't stop there. Victor Newman's decision to hire Patty Williams to kidnap Jack Abbott and subject him to sexual assault shocked many fans. Instead of allowing that storyline to end, the show later had Patty once again forcing herself into Jack's life while pursuing another unwanted romantic obsession. Adding even more controversy, Griffith reportedly described Phyllis Summers' upcoming romance with Matt Clark as delicious, a comment that many viewers found deeply inappropriate considering the character's violent past. For many loyal fans, the next writing team should move away from stories built around sexual violence and focus instead on emotional drama, family conflict, romance, and suspense. Too many kidnappings have left fans exhausted. Another recurring complaint is the seemingly endless number of kidnappings featured over the past few years. Viewers have watched Cameron Kirsten abduct Faith Newman. Jordan kidnapped Harrison Abbott before later imprisoning Sharon Newman in a sewer. Martin Laurent also captured both Sharon and Phyllis Summers, putting them through psychological torture. More recently, Mariah Copeland kidnapped Dominic Chancellor Winters. Victor arranged Jack's kidnapping through Patty Williams, and Patty later orchestrated Diane Jenkins' abduction as well. While kidnapping plots can create excitement when used sparingly, many fans believe the writers have leaned on the device far too often. Instead of feeling shocking, these stories have become predictable. A common suggestion from viewers is simple: Reserve kidnappings for rare, high-impact events rather than making them a routine part of life in Genoa City. Victor Newman rarely faces consequences. Another major frustration involves Victor Newman consistently coming out on top regardless of what he does. Fans acknowledge that Victor is one of daytime television's greatest characters, but many believe the show has gone too far in protecting him from consequences. Whether he's manipulating family members, orchestrating criminal schemes, or targeting longtime enemies, Victor almost always wins without paying a meaningful price. His decades-long rivalry with Jack Abbott has also become a sticking point. While the feud was once one of the show's defining conflicts, many viewers now feel it has become repetitive and forced. That said, fans still appreciate Victor's more entertaining moments. One storyline that drew laughs involved him locking Jordan in a cell and forcing her to survive on cheap vodka and Brussels sprouts. Those over-the-top scenes were viewed as fun without feeling endlessly repetitive. What viewers seem to want isn't less Victor. They simply want greater balance and occasional accountability when his actions cross the line. Phyllis dominates too much screen time. Another common criticism concerns the amount of attention given to Phyllis Summers. Michelle Stafford remains a popular actress, and many viewers enjoy her performances. However, some fans never fully embraced Griffith's decision in 2019 to replace Gina Tognoni by bringing Stafford back to the role. The situation became even more controversial after Griffith suggested he was restoring classic faces and returning the show to what originally made it successful. Many interpreted those comments as an unnecessary slight toward Tognoni. Years later, some viewers still believe Phyllis receives an overwhelming amount of screen time compared to the rest of the cast. During the 20 episodes that aired in May 2026, Stafford reportedly appeared in 18 of them. Matt Clark, despite being a highly controversial character, appeared in 17 episodes. So fans understand that every head writer naturally favors certain characters. However, many believe The Young and the Restless has become too heavily focused on the same handful of people, while numerous other cast members are left waiting for meaningful material. The show needs to feel young again. Despite its title, many viewers argue that The Young and the Restless no longer feels particularly young. Fans continue to appreciate the show's legendary veterans, including Eric Braeden, Peter Bergman, Melody Thomas Scott, Christian LeBlanc, Susan Walters, Michelle Stafford, and others who have helped build the series over decades. However, longtime viewers also recognize that no daytime drama can thrive indefinitely by relying almost exclusively on characters in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. The series already has plenty of middle-generation characters in their 40s and 50s, including Nick Newman, Sharon Newman, Victoria Newman, Billy Abbott, Chelsea Lawson, Daniel Romalotti, Kane Ashby, Holden Novak, and Nate Hastings. Meanwhile, younger adults like Sally Spectra, Adam Newman, Devin Hamilton, Abby Newman, Audra Charles, Noah Newman, Mariah Copeland, Tessa Porter, and Kyle Abbott often disappear for long stretches. Claire Grace Newman currently represents one of the youngest major characters, leaving a noticeable gap in the show's age range. Fans aren't asking for longtime favorites to disappear. Instead, they want a healthier balance that allows newer generations to carry important stories alongside the veteran cast. Expand the younger cast. Many viewers believe the solution lies in developing a stronger younger ensemble. Some have suggested aging up Billy and Victoria's children while also bringing Faith Newman back with a recast if necessary. Others would like Lily Winter's twins to return as young adults, creating an entirely new group of characters in their 20s. The same approach could apply to Johnny Abbott, Connor Newman, and Christian Newman by aging them into teenagers and surrounding them with new classmates and love interests. Competing daytime dramas have already invested more heavily in younger casts. General Hospital regularly introduces actors in their 20s and early 30s to anchor romantic storylines. Days of Our Lives maintains an active group of teens and young adults, while The Bold and the Beautiful continues adding younger characters to refresh its storytelling. Many fans believe The Young and the Restless should follow a similar strategy. Talented characters need better stories. Another frequent criticism is that several talented performers simply aren't being used effectively. Adam Newman remains a fan favorite, yet viewers feel he deserves a major storyline centered on his own ambitions rather than serving as support for other characters. Sharon Newman often appears without having a true story of her own, leaving many fans feeling that she's become more of a supporting presence than one of the show's leading ladies. Mariah Copeland and Tessa Porter have also largely faded into the background despite once being central figures. Fans would welcome stronger plots that showcase these characters instead of relying on the same familiar faces week after week. Romance has lost its spark. Romance has always been one of the biggest reasons audiences tune into daytime television, but many viewers feel The Young and the Restless has fallen short in that department. Nick Newman and Sharon Newman have been teased as a possible reunion for years, yet the relationship never seems to move forward. Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott occasionally provide romantic chemistry, while Holden Novak and Claire Grace Newman have shared a few flirtatious moments. Beyond those pairings, however, many fans believe the series lacks passionate romances that once defined the genre. Audra Charles is viewed by many as one of the show's most dynamic characters, while Nate Hastings remains one of its most charismatic leading men. Despite that, neither character has been given much opportunity for an exciting romantic storyline. Instead, viewers have watched Diane Jenkins attempting to charm the unsettling Dr. Markham, while Patty Williams continues obsessing over Jack Abbott. Fans say they miss the balance that classic soaps once offered, a mix of mature love stories alongside exciting younger couples filled with chemistry and passion. What kind of writer should replace Josh Griffith? As CBS searches for Griffith's successor, fans are already debating who should inherit one of daytime television's biggest jobs. Soap writers often move from one series to another throughout their careers, which can sometimes lead to familiar storytelling patterns. Griffith himself previously worked on The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, One Life to Live, and several other daytime projects. Some viewers have suggested Ron Carlivati, but others argue that another longtime soap veteran may simply bring more of the same ideas that audiences have already seen. Instead, many fans believe the show would benefit from someone with a fresh perspective, even if that person comes from outside the soap world. Television writers with strong backgrounds in character-driven drama, romance, and serialized storytelling could potentially inject new life into Genoa City without relying on recycled plots. One intriguing suggestion has been television writer Courtney Kong. Known for her work on Fresh Off the Boat, How I Met Your Mother, and the Hawaii set Doogie Howser reboot featuring a female lead, Kong represents the type of creative voice some fans believe could help modernize the show. Whether CBS ultimately chooses a veteran soap writer or someone from primetime television, viewers appear united on one point. They want a storyteller who values romance, compelling character development, meaningful consequences, and fresh ideas. After years of repeated kidnappings, endless rivalries, controversial storylines, and uneven character focus, many believe this leadership change presents a rare opportunity to redefine The Young and the Restless. If the next head writer can restore balance while introducing exciting new stories, fans hope the series can once again live up to its legendary reputation. Lesson: life often tests us with misunderstandings, setbacks, and emotional pain, but anger and resentment rarely solve anything. Whether it's Billy seeking answers from Jill, Victor regretting his past mistakes, or Nick choosing to seek support instead of facing his struggles alone, the story reminds us that healing begins with honest communication, forgiveness, and the courage to ask for help. Relationships may not be perfect, but trust, patience, and compassion can rebuild what conflict tries to destroy. No matter how difficult the situation becomes, never lose hope. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of the people who truly care about you. For more of the latest updates and behind-the-scenes secrets from Young and the Restless, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Stay in the know with every new release.